on the topic energy aware wireless computing and communication, I try to keep my talk say as per the theme of this particular program, because energy is the main concern there. So maybe my participants are there with different background. Few will be say from computer science, from electronics, electrical, someone maybe from energy technology, or other branches of engineering, including civil and mechanical also. So I will try to, you can say, give you a brief idea that what are, you can say, today's computing and communication scenario, because we are using, say, or we are making use of computing and communication in all fields of engineering or even during our daily life. So whether we talk of, you can say, any engineering area, or we talk of, you can say, any application, so there is sufficient use of computing and communication technologies. And if we talk of these technologies, so we see that with the passage of time, technologies have grown, and there is requirement that the size of the device should be thinner, but at the same time we are expecting devices to have, you can say, better specifications. If you talk of, you can say, the battery of our mobile devices or PDAs or maybe laptop or even minute technologies like sensors, we expect that they should last for longer period. So energy is the key role, that how we can define the life of particular device before it can be recharged or before it can be even thrown. If you talk of maybe sensor technologies where there may be some hostile environment where sensors are deployed, but it may not possible to replace them or to replace their batteries, and hence we have to continue, and we expect that the lifetime has to be longer. So therefore energy or the power plays the major role. So let us talk of, you can say, different technologies at present. If you talk in terms of computing, so we find that there are, you can say, major role of mobile devices. Days are gone when we talk of, you can say, maybe carrying even laptop from one place to another. Today we try to use our mobile phone to the maximum extent, and whether it is for the purpose of computing or maybe communication or even as a camera device, or even it may be for the purpose of, you can say, storage. So we try to make use of such devices which are more affordable in terms of flexibility, in terms of mobility. And maybe at the back end or at the background, we have to work with servers. So servers may be there which are, you can say, bigger in size, but we cannot carry them from one place to another, and hence there has to be strong connectivity at the back end or to the back end. So therefore there comes a role of different other technologies, maybe cloud computing. And similarly we talk of, you can say, application areas where we are making use of such kind of technologies, maybe for the purpose of physical different applications like Internet of Things, where different devices or heterogeneity is there in terms of devices, whether we talk of bigger devices or we talk of smaller devices like sensors, we talk of maybe RF tags, we talk of even maybe non-electronic devices, for example fan, even it may be some refrigerator, it may be air conditioner. So these kind of devices which are not directly you can say communicating with the computer network, still we try to make them part of the network by way of, you can say, different mechanisms, and therefore it comprises a, you can say, broader scenario where we talk that in terms of Internet of Things. And if we see this kind of network, so varieties of devices are there, so we have to deal with heterogeneity maybe at the hardware level as well as software level. Hardware level means we are, you can say, having, say, bigger devices and smaller devices. The capacities and capabilities of devices, they differ. At the same time, in terms of software, they have different operating systems, they have, you can say, different applications, they are you can say even screen sizes, they are different. So technologies, they should be somewhat, you can say, adaptable as per the configuration of the device. Similarly, we make use of you can say social networking, So we find that nowadays we are using say Twitters, we are using Facebook, or similarly other kind of, you can say, social channels in order to uh, push our information. So that way there is, you can say, flooding of information over the network, and hence there is huge amount of data being generated. So there comes the concept of, you can say, big data. So big data, it has different characteristics. Maybe the volume of data is higher, maybe the data is generated at larger speed. So that component is catered by what we call as velocity. At the same time, the data may differ in terms of uh, what we call as, you can say, structure of data. So it may be structured as well as unstructured data, and hence that gives the definition of big data. So we have to deal with varieties of data, which may be, I can say, having the well-defined structures, or it may be plain text, it may be combination of different images or multimedia kind of data, and hence we have to deal with everything. So similarly, we make use of, you can say, technologies like bring your own device, where nowadays it is not the case that if a student would like to work in the lab, then there should be, you can say, sufficient number of PCs or maybe laptops in the lab. The student may bring the device, hook up to the network, and do the activity, and next hour the student may go to hostel or other part of the campus, and again the same device can be used there, provided we have, you can say, sufficient infrastructure for the networking. So if we talk of, you can say, hooking or connecting such devices to the network, then there comes the role of I can say security mechanisms, that okay, there should not be something threatening from perspective of, I can say, user. That is, maybe if the user is connecting the device, then there should not be any threat that data will be stolen or it will be misused. At the same time, maybe there should not be threat to the network. So it is a process which has to be dealt in both the directions and both the sides. So similarly, we have to take care that if lot many users are there, so how their data will be protected. At the same time, how network or infrastructure will be protected from such different say devices. So this is how we see a trend in computing. Then if you talk of, you can say, wireless world at present, so we find that most of the user based devices, they are now wireless or mobile, and hence we have, you can say, large number of devices. With the passage of time, in the recent couple of years, we have seen that even devices like maybe TVs, devices like air conditioner, etc., they have got wireless interfaces, and as part of IoT we can connect them. So therefore lot many devices are becoming part of the network. Even there are technologies where we talk of, you can say, vehicles being part of the network. So we talk of vehicular ad hoc networks, or say intelligent transportation system, and devices may be part of the network, and therefore lot many devices are there, huge amount of data is generated. So there has to be mechanism to deal with this huge amount of data. Now if we talk of, you can say, such mobile devices, so of course energy or their battery is the main resource that has to be conserved, and maybe at hardware level or software level we have to talk of techniques which can prolong the battery or the available capacity for the longer period. So we have to talk of optimization both at hardware level as well as software level. So this is another view that how devices over the years they have changed. Initially we used to have, say, concept of maybe mainframe computers, and there came mini computer, then PC, which used to be called as, you can say, interactive kind of era, where one user can afford, say, one machine. Say student can go to the lab, and every student can get one PC for working. So that is the era where interactiveness is there. Then in, you can say, later years it was reversed. Maybe a user is there, whether we talk of, you can say, as a faculty member or maybe as a student, then rather than being you can say user of single machine, or maybe sharing a single machine by multiple users, the scenario was reversed, that one user is there having multiple machines. We have, say, laptop, PDA, we do have mobile phones. So varieties of devices are being used or owned by an individual, and hence this scenario is totally diverse than what we talk of, you can say, supercomputing era or the mainframe computing era. And hence issues related to distributed databases, issues related to maintaining the consistency of a data. Similarly, you can say concept of decentralized computing came, and accordingly data management became more crucial. At the same time, to maintain security, whether in terms of physical security or security of the data, became utmost important for such kind of scenario. Nowadays we see, look, you can say scenario where smaller devices like sensors, etc., they can be used in different environments. They will be capturing or sensing the data, and no need of user to go to that physical environment. Data will be sensed, data will be available to the you can say user sitting in some control center or maybe in some other location, and based upon, you can say, data obtained, strategic planning or decisions they can be taken. For example, say deployment may be there to study, say, landslides. So some sensors, they can be deployed, data will be captured by these sensors based upon, you can say, maybe the physical movement of different layers of the soil, condition of humidity, condition of maybe temperature, pressure, lighting, etc. So those mathematical models can be created, and based upon those models, whatever, you can say, data obtained almost in real time can be analyzed for the purpose of, you can say, taking strategic decision, for the purpose of predicting whether some you can say landslide is going to happen or not, and accordingly we can create awareness about the masses, or we can just generate the alert. So this scenario is, again, you can say, which is totally reverse than mainframe or supercomputing era, where user has to move near to the machine rather than, you can say, machine capturing the data and supplying data to the user. So lot many issues they are arising, because such kind of deployments are based upon miniature or smaller devices. So these devices, they should go on working for a longer period, and if they have to sustain for a longer period, this means they have to work in cooperation with other devices also. So rather than, you can say, single device being used, they have to be clustered, or they have to be grouped so that they are cooperatively working, and whatever, you can say, data obtained or the results obtained, they will be integrated together in order to take overall decision, and hence again energy becomes a crucial issue, because if particular device is overloaded with the work, then its energy will be depleted at faster rate. It won't be able to continue for a longer period, and therefore we have to talk of, you can say, mechanisms where we can do the load balancing over different devices, and maybe the role such as, you can say, cluster heads, etc., that can be rotated so that energy is consumed in a balanced way, and overall lifetime of the network can be longer. So such are the objectives which when we talk of, you can say, research issues in these areas. So if we talk of, you can say, maybe computing and communication together, so this is how the trend has changed over the years. Initially there used to be centralized computing in era of maybe or decade of 70s, and distributed computing concept came in 90s. Then maybe in 2000 internet was used, and maybe in last decade there was enormous use of mobile technologies, and we used to have anywhere, anytime, any user kind of connectivity. That is, all the users, they can afford mobile phones, then connectivity is available anywhere, that is at any location, and all the time we can ensure that the connectivity is available. So if we talk of, you can say, coming years, then maybe we have to talk of, you can say, 5G connectivity. We have to talk of, you can say, maybe the cloud computing being accessible at all the locations. So therefore, if we talk of, you can say, cloud computing being accessible at different locations, then we have to talk of strong connectivity. So maybe 5G will be the solution, because the existing technology like 4G, etc., cannot provide that big pipe of communication between the user end and the, you can say, remote end, that is the server, cloud server end. So therefore, we have to talk of, you can say, maybe 5G kind of technologies in the future. At the same time, we are trying to have, say, connectivity available at all the devices, and also trying to integrate different electronic as well as non-electronic devices as part of the network, so that from remote locations they can be, you can say, controlled, or we can say find out the status of devices. So therefore, 5G, then we talk of maybe IoT kind of technologies. Then there is penetration to other areas. For example, if you talk of medical, so we have the background that at present many research articles are being floated later to, you can say, making use of IoT in medical field. Then for better decision making, or for better prediction of some issues, we can make use of, you can say, different intelligent techniques. So there comes the role of AI, there comes the role of data mining, then we talk of machine learning, deep learning, neural network, these technologies where you can say better prediction, then better, you can say, and faster results may be obtained. So therefore, these are the technologies they will be picking in the future, and hence everything is based upon, you can say, computing and communication. So AI, ML, these are not the terms which have been coined in the recent past. They are existing for maybe last more than 50 years in the, you can say, research arena. But because of constraints of the hardware, we cannot execute algorithms, or we cannot process larger volume of data. That kind of processing was not possible. With the passage of time, we are having, say, faster machines. We have concept of, we can say, multi-core architectures, and hence maybe those algorithms, they can be executed faster, and we are anticipating the results. So that is the reason today we talk of, we can say, maybe voice recognition, or we talk of even systems which are totally controlled by voice. For example, we talk of Alexa, we talk of similar kind of systems which are even available commercially at present. Okay, so maybe this is we talk of this is the kind of requirement that a single device should provide connectivity anytime, anywhere, and maybe affordable to everyone. And we can foresee the future where even connectivity concept will be extended to different even non-electronic devices. For example, maybe chairs in the classroom may be assigned some IP address, and as a teacher, if I start from the office, I can find out that how many people they have already occupied their chair, so that I can see that whether the sufficient number of students have arrived in the class or not. Similarly, say I want to find out online status of maybe some just seat in the bus or berth in the, you can say, train. Just IP address can be browsed, and we can find out, you can say, status of those seats or entities also. So maybe it will be a kind of technology. So when we talk of wireless, so this is how in general wireless technologies they can be categorized. We talk of, you can say, single hop communication, and we talk of multi-hops. So I hope everyone is aware single hop means a single jump is taking for transmission of some data or packet. For example, if two machines they are communicating, one mobile phone and other is a laptop, and in between there is no intermediate device, they are directly communicating over Wi-Fi or by using Bluetooth, we will say that this is single hop communication. Now suppose we want to communicate to third machine. So third machine may not be within the communication range of say first one, that is the mobile phone. So maybe we have to transmit data first to laptop, then from laptop it will be transmitted to say third machine, which may be the desktop. So it will be, you can say, two-hop communication. So that way we can extend the connectivity to larger distance, and that brings the idea of what we call as multi-hop. So multi-hop maybe in general it is more than, you can say, one hop. So infrastructure, it may be categorized both the sides as infrastructure based as well as infrastructure less. When we talk of infrastructure based, this means at least one device is having connectivity to a wired part of the network. And when we talk of, you can say, infrastructure less network, this means there is no connectivity based upon wired network, or there is no wire within the network. Everything is, you can say, wireless. So further it may be you can say having examples like technologies which are based upon 802.111, that is Wi-Fi technology. So it is available both for single hop as well as multi-hop. It can be based upon you can say infrastructure based as well as infrastructure less. For example, when we talk of infrastructure based, access point may be there, so that will be providing connectivity to, you can say, other machines which are connected or which are communicating to access point for wireless interfaces. But when we talk of, you can say, infrastructure less communication, so it is purely ad hoc networking where there is no role of such access points. So two laptops, they are directly communicating, or even two mobile phones, they are directly communicating without making use of maybe third intermediate device. So we have examples like sensor networks, then we have mesh network. We talk of, you can say, car to car or VANETs, vehicular ad hoc networks, or intelligent transportation system, and so on, so on and so forth. So we have, you can say, such kind of taxonomy when we talk of categorization of wireless networks. So these are some standards. So already you may be aware that out of all the standards, 802.11 is the major IEEE standard that is being used by most of the devices, or every one of us is making use of these standards as part of our mobile phones, as part of our you can say laptops. Fine. So out of these, this 802.11 AX is the latest standard. That is, this slide is somewhat older, so this is already available. Okay, so 802.11 is already available. So it has got sufficient bandwidth and you can say support for geographical separation or physical distance in order to afford the communication of data. So maybe this 802.11 AY will be the standard that will be, you can say, that is expected in the near future. Now, in terms of say communication, we can categorize similar to the you can say wired network. We can categorize wireless networks as personal area network. For example, say different machines, say mobile phone, laptop, camera, and printer, etc. They can form a network that we call as personal area network. So within the home, we can have personal area network. Similarly, local area network, metropolitan, wide area network, regional area network, and so on. So these kind of, we can say, networks based upon communication range and flexibility of the distance to which data can be transmitted. So such kind of categorization is there as part of networking. So this gives you some, this slide gives you some idea about, you can see, infrastructure based network. For example, network infrastructure. So this is wired part of the network in the central cloud, and then there is access point. It has got some I can say transmission range, so that is called cell, and within the cell different devices, they will be communicating to that access point. So two devices which would like to communicate will be communicating by using, say, intermediate access point only. So two devices, they cannot directly communicate over the wireless link. They have to communicate to access point, then from access point data will be carried to other device. So this is the example of infrastructure based network. Similarly, we have some infrastructure less network like this. So maybe different devices, they would like to communicate. So there is no use of infrastructure, that is no wired network. Everything is wireless and different machines, they can communicate. So even multi-hop communication is possible. So different machines, they can communicate, but there are issues. Those who are having background of this kind of network, there is problem of what we call as hidden terminal problem, exposed terminal problem. So probability of collision of packets is high. It is not possible to detect the you can say collision, so we can just avoid the collisions. Okay, so just a CSMA-CD kind of techniques, they cannot be used. We have to go for, you can say, collision avoidance techniques, and hence the overall throughput is lower as compared to wired network. So therefore, at present there is no wireless technology which can defeat the existing wired technology. So we have to depend upon, you can say, maybe the existing infrastructure for wired network, say strong backbone of optical fiber is there, so that has to continue, but we maybe at the front end we are having, say, flexibility for the mobility, and the devices, they are say portable or they are mobile, but at the background we have to depend upon that strong connectivity. So therefore both the wired and wireless technologies, they have to continue for maybe years, because no wireless technology is there which can totally replace the wired one. So this is about 4G scenario, that okay, how it has been developed. So it is, you can say, collaborative technology. Maybe when we talk of being part of the campus, then we have to depend upon some MIMO kind of access points like 802.11n or AC or AX. So there we are having, you can say, different access points as part of the campus. Then on mobile phone, if we are moving out of campus, so there is no wireless kind of connectivity, and maybe we have to depend upon LT kind of technology. So there comes the role of LT technology. Similarly, in some area in the city, we may be affording, or there may be connectivity based upon BiMAX. So hence 802.16 technology may be used. So therefore all these technologies put together, they form what we call as 4G. So 4G is not a single technology, but it is you can say collaboration of different technologies. So depending upon the underlying situation, different technologies can be used. Now as a part of device, it has to take a decision if more than one network is available or more than one connectivity is available, then which one has to be used. Sorry. So therefore, device has to take a sensible decision. For example, if you want to send, say, text message, so rather than using maybe LT technology, even say lower technologies like HSPA, DPA, etc., those can be used. Similarly, suppose you want to send some multimedia data, then maybe we have to make use of 802.11ax. But if you want to transmit only a single image, then we can make use of even 802.11n. So therefore device has to take decision. Now these different interfaces, different overlay technologies consume different amount of energy. So therefore device should be intelligent enough, or there should be embedded intelligence within the software in order to select particular interface available, because multiple interfaces may be available. Even as a user, we should be aware that which particular interface is say most appropriate for particular application or for particular purpose of communication, so that we can conserve the resources, we can conserve the energy or the power of our mobile devices. So this is about 5G. So just we can focus that in 5G we have huge amount of bandwidth available, much larger as compared to 4G technology. Now you can say different issues are there, that how to you can say address so many devices. So maybe rather than IPv4, IPv6 is the solution, because we have to do provisioning for multiple devices. at the same time how to take care of, you can say, security issues, what should be encryption, decryption technique, how to afford, you can say, transmission of rich multimedia data, how to handle big data. So generally issue is that we should be available with the larger bandwidth, so that on the wired systems, whatever you can say bandwidth available, the same we can assume to be available on, say, wireless or mobile devices. So that kind of you can say objective is there for the purpose of, you can say, maybe affording 5G technology. So already you can say to some extent in some areas world over, testing has already started, and maybe in the near future we will have this technology. Then another, you can say, wireless concept is that of vehicular ad hoc network. So this slide gives you some idea that how vehicles they can form a network. Such network is called vehicular ad hoc network. Now their purpose may be, you can say, simple to critical one. Simple, it may be that maybe some for the purpose of entertainment, maybe some audio, video can be shared by different devices. It may be some other applications, say, to find out traffic situation in some part of the highway. Suppose one starts from a particular location and would like to study a real-time traffic scenario 5 kilometers away from that location. So is there possibility that one vehicle will be able to communicate to the next and next to the next and so on, so that a chain is formed or a network is formed of the vehicles, and vehicle which is nearest to that particular location about which we are interested in finding the situation, that will be finding that how many vehicles are there in the surrounding, how many people are there. Though there are, you can say, different technologies for that. Nowadays we are making use of, you can say, even mobile phones for that purpose. So say traffic scenario is obtained by the vehicle near to itself, and then that information will be propagated back to other vehicles, maybe last vehicle available at 10 kilometers or 5 kilometers away from that particular location. So we can find out in real time, and based upon the traffic situation we can take alternate routes, or accordingly planning can be done. Similarly, it may have critical applications. For example, if some accident occurs, then vehicles may transmit information to other vehicles or to hospitals, to you can say persons at the home of that particular vehicle which have met with accident, or to the friends, so that you can say precautions they can be taken, and accordingly you can say maybe ambulance will be rushing to that particular location, or similarly other remedial actions they can be initiated. So that way this technology is also picking up at present. And in addition to that, there are, you can say, new targets for this technology. People they talk of, you can see, for example, if a driver is driving the vehicle, then if a driver is not feeling well, then accordingly alert may be sent to maybe owner of the vehicle or to maybe the persons at home. Similarly, if particular driver changes the lane very frequently, then some alert can be generated. Similarly, maybe if we talk of, you can say, driving in the hilly areas, can we do some provisioning so that we can find out that who are the vehicles coming from other side, or whether some obstacle is there. So maybe there we have to talk of, you can say, installation of some infrastructure along the road also, in addition to whatever, you can say, technology is being installed on the vehicles. So this overall scenario is what we call as, you can say, vehicular ad hoc network, or maybe intelligent transportation system. Similarly, you can say self-driving cars, like a project from Google or maybe from other companies, that is also, you can say, a technology which may be considered under the umbrella of intelligent transportation system. So as far as we talk of, you can say, maybe standards for this, already 802.11p IEEE standard is there, which talks of, you can say, some of the issues which can be addressed related to VANETs or related to ITS. So this is one of the wireless technology, and there are few variants of this technology. We talk of, you can say, Internet of Vehicles. Then you might have heard about what we call as opportunistic network. So rather than, you can say, maybe availability of seamless networking, there may be some opportunity, or there may be you can say sparse connectivity available in terms of vehicles, and maybe we are finding some opportunity to forward the package in the right direction, so that the packet will be delivered based upon exploitation of those opportunities. So there are, you can say, varieties of variants, and accordingly there is a scope of the research. Then this kind of scenario is also there in campus. Maybe in the future we will be talking of technology called as voice over Wi-Fi. For example, maybe some mobile phone which are affording SIP kind of protocol, they will be providing same intercom kind of facility on the mobile phones. Okay, so there we have to talk of, you can say, dense deployment of access points. So there will be combination of indoor and outdoor access point. In this diagram, we will be finding, say, two types of access point. Blue one is indoor, and maybe the red one is outdoor. So such kind of deployments are to be there. Then we have to afford, you can say, seamless connectivity everywhere, so that data can be communicated, whether we talk of, you can say, maybe voice data, or we talk of actual say bits in terms of binary data. So requirement is that voice as well as other kind of data, text or multimedia data, has to be transmitted. So for that purpose there has to be say strong connectivity, and if we are having connectivity everywhere and devices, they have capability of, you can say, communicating without making use of, you can say, external infrastructure. For example, if I want to make a call to a person who is located at 150 maybe meters away, rather than routing that call through service provider like Bharti Airtel, BSNL, or whatever, you can say, service provider, if we can make call directly, so just we are exploiting intercom kind of facilities. So maybe this kind of technology will be available where in ad hoc mode voice communication can also be done. So this is about wireless sensor network. Different miniature devices like sensors, they can be deployed and they can form a network. So this can be taken in analogous to conventional network, where devices are bigger in size as well as in capacities. For example, if you talk of maybe a network where different nodes are there, like desktop machines or maybe laptops. So these machines, they are having you can say data processing capability. So CPU speed is much faster. Similarly, they have, you can say, larger memory. Their bandwidth capacities are higher because of maybe wireless interfaces, etc. So we can assume compression of these technologies, and suppose we have smaller devices, maybe of the size of some IC, or maybe some say 10 rupees coin or dollar size kind of devices which have got computing and communication capabilities. So these devices or nodes, they can be deployed in larger number in order to have, you can say, overall cumulative effect much higher. So therefore devices, they can be deployed, and accordingly they will be cooperating with each other in order to perform some functions. Now, because these devices, they are required in larger number, the area or the domain where they are deployed may be somewhat hostile. Some examples are given on the screen. So therefore they have to configure themselves. Maybe it is not possible to place them manually, and hence they can be sprayed from some helicopter or by using some other mechanism. So they will be, you can say, finding their neighbors, they will be finding out their routing paths to a particular say control center or to base station or sink, whatever we would like to call, and hence issues related to maybe whatever you can say in conventional network, whether we talk of physical layer, we talk of data link layer, we talk of say routing at network layer, or maybe issues to be settled at higher layers like application layer, they are to be addressed. But since the devices, they are not much rich in resources, so therefore conventional algorithms, they cannot be used, and hence the algorithms or protocols which are to be executed on these devices, they should be lightweight. So we cannot say that maybe some security encryption protocol or maybe some data mining algorithm which is to be executed or which can be executed on conventional desktop cannot be executed here, and hence we have to maybe talk of distributed data mining technique, or we have to talk of, you can say, lightweight version of the encryption algorithm, and hence there is scope of the research. So therefore that gives us the food of thinking that we have to develop new protocols, we have to think differently in view of the constraints which are available in these environments or on these devices, and accordingly we can develop new technologies. So there are, you can say, different applications. One example about VANets I gave you, that okay, along with the maybe the technologies which are installed on the you can say vehicle technologies along the highway, they are also to be installed some sensors, they are to be embedded as part of the environment. Even today people, they talk of magnetic sensors rather than, you can say, maybe electronic sensors which are based upon electrical voltage or current as quantities, say based upon these parameters. We talk of magnetic sensors, people, they talk of, you can say, optical sensors. Similarly, maybe some server that generally we call as, you can say, roadside unit, RSU. So they are to be installed so that data can be stored there, and as and when required it can be shared by different vehicles. So issues related to broadcasting, issue related to, you can say, servicing the request of, you can say, different vehicles, even you can say providing services to the location based queries, that comes into play. For example, someone may be interested in finding the nearest hotel, and query may be complex, that okay, what you can say charges in the hotel should not exceed this, or food quality should be like this. So such kind of complex queries can be addressed by such roadside units. So many queries may be generated, but they are to be responded within the given time threshold. For example, if query is fired now, and suppose I am getting response after 10 minutes, by that time my location might have changed. So it has to be responded within the reasonable time, and the location depending upon present situation will be captured, and response will be given accordingly. Similarly, they may have application in maybe areas. For example, if you talk of this Uttarakhand maybe natural disaster in the recent past, some sensor technologies may be used there so that alerts can be generated. For example, if such a high flow is coming, so can we think of, you can say, deploying some sensors along the you can say banks of the river, so that alerts can be generated in almost in real time automatically. Similarly, if some you can say snow avalanche is there, and glaciers, they are sliding, then can we deploy such technology so that alerts can be generated, so that we can take precautionary measures. Okay. Similarly, we can think of deploying such kind of technologies on the border of countries. So we can think of, you can say, virtual fencing between two countries and infiltration, then other sensitive or strategic decisions, they can be taken accordingly. Then there comes, you can say, IoT, where Internet of Things concept is there, having I can say even devices which are non-electronic, they can be roped as part of the network. So I was talking of, you can say maybe every seat may be assigned some IP address. So this means large number of devices, they are there and they are to be assigned some unique identity, because as per the requirement of the network, if you want to make a node or device as part of the network, there has to be unique identity associated with that particular device, so that it can be controlled from remote location, or we can communicate with that device sitting, you can say, maybe hundreds of thousands of miles away. So therefore that identity becomes the requirement. So in IoT we have, you can say, maybe different types of devices being part of the network, and already few examples are there. For example, we do have say from Amazon, we have Alexa is there. So similarly we can have smart bulbs or smart tubes, we have smart air conditioners, even fans. So what is the requirement? These devices, they should have some interface of networking. So most of these devices, they are having, you can say, wireless interfaces. Now if they are having wireless interfaces, they can be you can say connected to particular gateway like Alexa, and sitting at remote location we can control them. So just we can give the voice command, and if that voice command is well understood by the device, just we can switch it on, switch it off, or we can even find its status. Similarly, there may be some camera. So sitting in my office, I can zoom the camera, I can pan it, I can tilt it. So such kind of voice commands, or through by even by using written commands. Similarly, we do have, I can say, hello, लेक्चर चल रहा है ऑनलाइन ना, ये करता हूँ. Similarly, you can say the devices, they may be part of the you can say network. So as I told that some chairs, even they may be assigned some IP addresses, even maybe a tablet bottle may be assigned some IP address, and we can find out whether some old person has taken the tablet or not. So we talk of, you can say, such complex and heterogeneous kind of technologies. So there maybe we have to depend upon different sensors, and these sensors, they can be operated in order to find the status, in order to you can say generate some alert and so on. So that comes part of what we call as IoT, or we talk of, you can say, maybe smart IoTs. Similarly, such kind of technologies are nowadays being extended to different other domains. For example, if we talk of medical, so there is concept of IoMT, that is Internet of Medical Things. So different medical sensors or equipment or devices, they can be say integrated, and even if some specialized or some professional person who operates them is not available, so they can be operated from remote location by the experts. So maybe this is the scenario that we foresee in the future. So this is the IoMT is the area that is considered as hot technology world over, and in India also already you can say medical community, they have started thinking in the direction that how such technologies can be used in order to exploit ICT in the medical field, and how we can make use of available human expertise, because human expertise, they cannot be we cannot ensure that physical mobility from every time from one location to another. So through use of technology, how we can exploit their expertise. So maybe IoMT or medical area where IoTs are being used is the future technology, and maybe there is a good opportunity of research in these areas. So if we talk of, you can say, whether IoT or its applications, then different issues in contrast to existing technology, they are also there. For example, if we talk in terms of security, so there may be threat that some device may be planted by some person who would like to damage or would like to steal the data. So we have to be aware of, you can say, intruders, and hence intrusion detection techniques, they should be stronger in such kind of networks, because number of devices, they are large. Maybe if you talk of, you can say, conventional technologies for study of some natural disasters, then the environment where the devices are planted, they cannot be physically say monitored, and hence we have to have mechanisms so that intrusions, they can be studied. Otherwise, someone may steal the data or may damage the data, or even do something undesired. Similarly, we have to talk in terms of addressing. So if we talk of maybe so many devices, mobile phones, we talk of desktops, we talk of servers, we talk of, you can say, maybe devices which are part of IoTs, that is sensors. We talk of maybe vehicles being part of the network. Similarly, household devices like refrigerators, electric bulbs, and so on. So varieties of devices are there. How to ensure that everything gets the unique IP address? So addressing is a big challenge. So we'll see in the coming slides that maybe through IPv6 we can have solution to this particular problem. Similarly, you can say, because of the nature of such environment, they are distributed in computing, or they are having distributed nature as far as computing as well as communication is concerned. So how to take care of such environment in terms of security, in terms of maintaining the consistency of data, in terms of maybe replication of data, in terms of addressing issues related to you can say maybe personalization of data, how we can ensure that a virtual private kind of network is maintained between two ends, so that the data is not exposed to the environment, and so on. So therefore different issues are there. This gives you some idea that how with the passage of time, number of devices and data has increased. So just we can assume to be exponential growth, and we can judge it. You can say even in our surrounding that people, everyone is affording devices, then that is mobile devices, then even with the passage of technology, so household devices, they are also being networked together. So therefore huge amount of data is generated, and large number of devices, they are becoming part of the network. So there comes the role of, you can say, maybe big amount of data is generated, and we have to talk of, you can say, finding useful information from the data. So we have to talk in terms of maybe data mining technique. We have to talk in terms of maybe for the purpose of security blockchains. We have to talk in terms of you can say finding useful pattern in the data. So rather than, you can say, churning the whole volume of data, just we can find out a useful pattern by applying some machine learning or deep learning techniques, and so on. So I was talking about IP. So IPv4, the presently being protocol stack has limited IP addresses. So they are not sufficient to meet all the requirement of these technologies, and hence we have to go for what we call as, you can say, IPv6, where large number of addresses are there. So just some idea, this is the volume of addresses. It is 128-bit addressing rather than 32-bit address. So we have, you can say, large number of addresses. So this is just a comparison that how many addresses are there. So just from here you can conclude that if we use 128-bit addressing based upon IPv6 technology, so sufficient addresses will be available, and maybe unique identity can be assigned to every device. So just assigning ID to every device, whether we talk of IoT, we talk of IoB, or we talk of any future technology, will not be a problem. So already protocol stack is there. We have devices which are having compatibility to, you can say, IPv6, for example, in terms of routers, in terms of gateway switches, etc. They are already having, you can say, capability to afford 128 bits as well as IPv6 protocol stack. So just this technology requirement is that they have to be rolled at different devices. For example, if I want to connect the device, then of course it has to be a top-down approach that the government agencies have to take the decision, and we have to roll that technology maybe throughout the country, and similarly in other countries also. And that way, if technology is available, then we can make use of a large number of address space, and that way there is no scarcity of addresses. So whether we talk of any application domain, number of addresses available will be sufficient. Now, having this background of, we can say, computing and communication, this slide gives us a scenario that how over the years different progresses have taken place. So whether we talk of, we can say, MIPS, that is millions of instructions per second, that is processor capability. So we'll see that this is increasing over the years. Similarly, the capacity of hard disk, capacity of memory, etc., that has increased. But if we talk of, we can say, energy, or you can say power resource within a system, so that technology has not progressed so rapidly as compared to these other technologies. And hence, if we talk of, we can say, mobile devices today, we talk of IoTs, we talk of sensor technologies, which are based upon, say, battery. So there we have to talk of, we can say, conserving the resource. That is, we have to conserve the available battery. And hence, maybe if there is a physical constraint in the sense that the capacity is limited, we cannot recharge it, we cannot replace it in most of the applications. For example, if we talk of sensors, though in case of mobile phone, etc., we are recharging, but every time we are not able to recharge. Maybe we are interested in recharging a mobile phone after 2 days. So can a mobile phone be used so that it should be recharged after 10 days? So can we think of this kind of technology? So hardware constraint is there, but maybe we have to talk in terms of software issues, so that applications or tools, or even when we make of, you can say, using this tool as camera processing device or image processing device, we make use of this phone as a communicating device for voice communication. It should consume less energy. So therefore, how through software techniques we can conserve the energy. So I will be giving you some background. So initially we will talk about energy consumed during, you can say, communication. So just you can see it carefully that when we talk of, you can say, energy consumption, and for the purpose of communication, generally energy is consumed for useful communication, and sometimes we have to consume energy for wasteful purposes. So useful is, say, suppose something is being transmitted, whether we talk of, we can say, voice, or we talk of data, then processing some queries, forwarding queries, then taking some routing decisions, etc. But when we talk of, we can say, wasteful examples are, for example, some data is to be retransmitted, or maybe you have made a voice call, but it is broken in between, or the voice quality is not proper. So we have to, say, make another call, or maybe the call has to be made for the longer period, and hence we are wasting the energy. Similarly, if we talk of, we can say, wireless channels, so they are more prone to collisions, and hence can we ensure that number of collisions are less, so that number of retransmissions required are reduced, and hence the throughput of the system increases. Similarly, overhearing consumes energy in case of, we can say, wireless communication. This is something similar to, suppose I say name of somebody Ashok, then other persons, they will be, you can say, alert for some time. So they will also be analyzing that whose name has been pronounced or whose name has been announced. So therefore they will be overhearing this kind of voice. And similarly, when we talk of, you can say, communication or wireless communication, so every node or every system will be overhearing to the data being transmitted, and depending upon address, whether this particular data is addressed to this particular receiver, it will be receiving it, otherwise it will be ignoring. So that way overhearing will be consuming some part of the energy. So therefore such kind of wasteful consumptions, they can be reduced in order to optimize the usage of limited or constant battery resource or energy resource. Now we can take some conscious decisions or provisions can be made when we talk of, you can say, communication. So maybe in infrastructure networks, allow idle mobile stations to go to sleep mode. So when we talk of, you can say, communication, you may be aware that we make use of some techniques like TDMA. So TDMA is a schedule that every node will be given some slot, and it will only communicate during the allotted slot. During other time, this particular node can go to the sleep mode. Similarly, we can make use of, you can say, such kind of provision so that everyone need not to be active. Similarly, if we talk of maybe clustering within sensor network, if we talk of clustering in ad hoc network or even VANets, then everyone need not to be active or live all the time. So only the nodes who have to participate in the communication during particular time will be active, others they can go to sleep mode. And it is well researched that energy consumed during say active mode or during transmission mode is much higher as compared to during idle or during sleep mode. Similarly, say when we talk of, we can say, ad hoc network, so we can talk of, you can say, power aware routing, rather than, you can say, all the nodes being active. Only the nodes who is expecting the packet will be active, other nodes they will be in sleep mode. So we can think of something like a Steiner graph kind of scenario where we can form a backbone of the devices based upon some graph theory, and only the devices which are part of the Steiner graph or which are part of the backbone will be active, other nodes they will be sleeping. So they will be, the nodes which are active, they will be consuming higher energy, and after some time, depending upon the scenario, though it will be involving some overheads, we can rotate the role, and other devices or other set of devices, they will be active, and the previous set of devices, they will be in sleep mode. So that way, in balanced way, energy will be consumed. Similarly, if we talk of, you can say, maybe formation of clusters. So within the cluster, not all the nodes are required to be active all the times. Few nodes such as gateways or cluster head, they will be active, other they will be in sleep mode. So that way we can use the concept of duty cycling. This concept, overall concept, is called duty cycling. So duty cycling can be used in order to conserve the energy, and this kind of scenario is being used extensively in case of, you can say, few technologies like ad hoc networks. So similarly, it can be extended to maybe IoTs, it can be extended to even you can say personal area network, or it can be extended to other domains, so that we can devise suitable protocols for those domains and we can conserve the resources. Now this was about communication. The previous slides we talked. Then similarly, in case of communication, sometimes we can think of, you can say, offloading the, you can say, load from mobile device to the controller side. For example, can we think of future technology that if my mobile phone is off and I am getting some message, so that message can be stored somewhere at the exchange, or maybe in the, you can say, MSS, mobile switching station, or controller, what we call as, including even the voice calls, and later on it can be delivered. Similarly, depending upon my new location, automatically some decisions they can be taken, so that data will be following the user, rather than you can say it is being transmitted from one location to another, and then we are reverting back, and we are, you can say, flooding the channel without just delivering the data or packet to the user. So that way we can take some decisions, and even prediction and AI techniques, they can be used there in order to exploit or in order to use make the best estimates, and accordingly data can be delivered, you can say, in real time or later on. So that was about networking. When we talk of, you can say, maybe at the hardware level or for the purpose of computing, then just we can segregate in terms of power and energy. So you may be aware that energy is power into time. So when we talk of, you can say, conserving the power, maybe we have to spend more energy. For example, if you want to make some computation, so if we can do the computation at device which operates at lower frequency or whose speed is lower, this means we have to spend more time for execution purpose. So therefore energy will be increasing because T will be increasing. Okay, so just we can take some sensible decision. But in general, when we talk of, you can say, power, so power is given as P equal to alpha F C VDD square. Here alpha is switching activity, F is frequency, C is switching capacitance, VDD is supply voltage. So these are the parameters which are responsible for consumption of power at a device. Just we can think of, you can say, CMOS power consumption equation. Now, in addition to that, maybe heat or some wear and tear that will also consuming power, and even device will be becoming heated, and maybe some air conditioning will be requiring additional power. So if we talk of, you can say, data centers, even we have to manage that. But in general, if we want to do some computing at a particular device, so it is a function of these parameters, alpha, F, C, and VDD. So it is proportional to, or depend, you can say, directly dependent upon say VDD square. So if we are able to reduce this VDD, maybe power consumption for doing some computation can be reduced. Now what is VDD? This is the power required in order to operate that particular circuit. At the same time, we have value F. So F is the frequency at which a particular device operates. So if we recall about Gordon-Murray law, then we studied that you can say packing density doubles every 18 months, and in terms of computing, we'll say that the computing speed doubles every 18 months. So if we recall maybe some scenario 15 years back, so we used to have machine operating at 1 gigahertz, and that way today there should have been machine operating at 50 gigahertz. But you see, when we talk of, we can say, P proportional to F, and we can, if we go into further detail, we can correlate BDD and F. So BDD and F, they can be considered equivalent. So we'll say that P is proportional to F raised to power 3, that is F cube. So if power consumption is proportional to cube of the frequency, So if a machine which was operating maybe at 1 gigahertz and today operates at 30 gigahertz, you assume that it will be consuming energy which is proportional to 30 raised to power 3. So therefore, the technology has not progressed in that fashion, and it has discontinued to some extent with the you can say hypothesis of Murray, and today we talk of multi-core technology. So rather than increasing F, we are increasing the number of cores so that F is maintained at lower value, so that today we have say machines operating at 1 gigahertz or 1.5 gigahertz, but it has multiple cores. It has 16 core. Even on mobile phones we have 8 core, 16 core, and such kind of technology. So what is the advantage? F is not increasing, so therefore power consumption is not increasing at that requirement. Suppose we have a requirement of say 20 gigahertz, and we have say 64 core machine, each core operating at 1 gigahertz. In that case, we can make say 20 cores on. And if there is requirement of next hour, there is, or next moment there is requirement of only 2 cores, they will be on, other cores they will be off. So therefore they will be in sleep mode, and hence depending upon the requirement we can dynamically adjust the number of cores which will be required to be in active state, and other cores they will be in say, sleep mode, or they will be in hibernate mode, and hence they will be saving a lot in terms of energy. So therefore power can be saved or energy can be saved, just we can see. Similarly, if you want to have analysis or have say provision of conserving these parameters, then they are to be addressed at all the level. So in general they can be categorized as hardware as well as software. So hardware level we talk at transistor level, we talk gate level or architecture level. So we have examples or similar I can say techniques. So there we talk in terms of maybe transistor sizing, we talk in terms of clock rate, we talk in terms of interconnects, and so on. At software level we have operating system, compiler, virtual machine applications. We have to talk in terms of algorithms, we have to talk in terms of pipelining, we have to talk in terms of memory, and so on. So those who are interested in doing research and they would like to say think of technologies, that how we can do better justice with the technology both at hardware level or maybe hardware plus software level in terms of conserving of resources, so that given a battery of limited capacity, how our devices they will be able to prolong for longer period. Say my mobile phone, rather than being required to be recharged every day, may last for 10 days. Okay, so I will give you some examples that how it can be or how we can think of, we can say at different levels. So already we talked about this equation, and how we can conserve. So important concepts may be to lower VDD and F. How F can be lowered, I gave you example of, you can say multi-core technology. So already say major OEMs like Intel, AMD, etc. they have started using this concept, and multi-core architecture is available which have lower energy consumption as compared to you can say maybe the convention which is based upon Gordon-Murray. Similarly, VDD here just it is a parameter of the circuit, and people, those who are from the domain of VLSI, they are working in the area that how this particular parameter can be reduced. Even we talk of, you can say maybe some device which are to operating at higher frequency or higher speed, so its VDD requirement will be higher. Generally, higher the speed of a device, more value of VDD is required. So we can even see at higher level or at surface level according to this particular you can say scenario, and therefore VDD can be changed. So number of switchings which are taking, so if the number of switchings they are reduced, we can reduce the value of DD. Similarly, we can reduce circuit size, so interconnects etc. they can be reduced. We can assume interconnect as a conventional network, and how graph theory or some algorithms they can be used in order to reduce the path of communication from one interconnect to another interconnect. So that way we can reduce, you can say, delays, we can reduce the power consumption. Similarly, locality etc., say spatial locality, we can exploit, and we can reduce number of read and write operations from the memory, and therefore energy consumption can be increased. So at algorithmic level, another mechanism is available. So can we think of, you can say, faster algorithm. So we have, you can say, varieties of algorithms. Even we take of simple examples, maybe for the purpose of sorting. So we have two examples like bubble sort and quick sort, whose asymptotic behavior is governed in terms of n log n or n square. So of course a better choice will be, say, one which is having lower complexity, that is n log n. Similarly, we can think of, you can say, any problem, so we can have n number of options, or we have, you can say, large number of options, and we can choose the better one. Maybe we cannot arrive at the best one in some of the cases, because in order to arrive at the best one, some lot of time and energy has to be consumed, and that concept is generally in terms of AI we call it as combinatorial explosion. So we have to avoid that also, and we have to take a sensible decision. For example, if I have to travel from location A to location B, which particular route has to be selected? So that is the decision, best one or better one we can take. So if there is no, you can say, deterministic algorithm, can we think of, you can say, applying the heuristics. For example, sometimes arriving at algorithm, particular you can say deterministic method consumes lot many resources in terms of time, in terms of memory. So can we think of say, out of available hit and trial methods, heuristics they are generally based upon hit and trial methods. Out of available, say, 10 or 100 methods, we can select better one. So rather than going for algorithm which may require exponential kind of complexity, we can think of using the heuristics. So if we select a better or best algorithm, maybe it will be saving a lot many resources. Okay, so when we talk of, you can say, such kind of complexity, generally the execution time is directly proportional to these factors, and given the value of that is frequency at which the system operates, it will be requiring more or less time, and of course it will be eating lot many resources. And particularly if we talk of energy, if higher is the time, of course higher energy or larger energy is being consumed. Similarly, there are mechanisms at compiler levels, so we can even deploy those kind of mechanisms, but due to scarcity of time I will be skipping. I will not go into detail. If someone is interested, so they can also browse that how compiler level mechanisms are available in order to reduce the resources. Then similarly, maybe architecture level, we can exploit pipelining, we can exploit parallelism, and so on. Okay, so different architectures are available. Then even at operating system, for example, here it is given in the last point that if battery level drops below a certain threshold, drop certain services. For example, in our mobile phone, suppose battery energy falls below 20%. In most of the mobile phones, this kind of configuration is already available as part of, you can say, of the operating system. that it will be automatically switching off your wireless interface. Similarly, maybe if it falls below 15%, it will switch off your Bluetooth connectivity, though it can be reconfigured by the user. Similarly, there can be mechanism that if particular battery value falls below the threshold, then rather than color display, it will be switched over automatically to, we can say, black and white or grayscale kind of display. So grayscale will be consuming or consumes much lower energy as compared to colored one, and hence we are able to you can say maintain the battery for a longer period. Similarly, you can see some of the applications which are already executing, they can be terminated automatically by the operating system. So this kind of scenario can be applied both for bigger as well as smaller devices. For example, if some even desktop is there which is being fed by regular AC power supply, but AC is failing and it is based upon some UPS. So if UPS power or backup falls below some threshold, thereafter even such kind of sensible decisions they can be taken. So even operating system can take such kind of decisions in order to you can say optimize the available battery resource or available power resource. Then we can exploit locality to, so at hardware level we have concept of, we can say, disk, then main memory, then we have concept of cache, then even we have concept of caches available on the chip. So therefore data which is available on the chip will be accessed with much faster speed and with the less consumption of resources. So therefore the decision regarding prediction of the cache, that which particular data has to be stored as part of the cache, that has to be more intelligent. So therefore we can apply some, we can say, more efficient prediction techniques, and if our prediction is accurate, they will be saving a lot of many resources. Similarly, you can say maybe for at the operation level, if we talk of addition operation, we talk of write operation. So if you see this first one, addition consumes much lower power or energy as compared to write. So if we make say memory operation, it is much more costlier in terms of power consumption as compared to maybe addition operation. Similarly, if we talk of multiplication operation, it is much more costlier as compared to say addition operation. So if we focus upon different types of operations, so this summary, that power for memory operations and power to do some arithmetic or logical operations is comparable this way. That is, energy consumed for memory, that is for reading and writing, is much higher, maybe of the order of some 33 for given underlying case study. So it gives us indication that if number of memory operations they are increased, or we are not able to reduce read and write operations, we have to spend a lot in terms of energy. So if there is some mechanism, maybe at operating system level, at compiler level, at instruction level, or any, we can say, mechanism that can be exploited in order to reduce number of read and write operations or reduce memory transactions. I give you some idea. This is a simple C loop. For loop is there in C program, you can say language. So this is how in the upper one graph is given, this data is produced, that is we are calculating value of B, and later on we are consuming this value of B. So time delay between use of producing the value of B and use of this values increased. This is higher as compared to lower one. So if this higher means we have to store data for longer period, and if the register buffers are limited, then this data has to be stored in the main memory. So therefore there will be lot many read and write operations, and if read and write operations they are larger, we have seen a comparison in the previous slide that it consumes lot many energy as compared to, you can say, exploiting the locality, and hence we can go to or modify the loop as given lower. So here consumption and I can say production time, they are reduced, and that way we will be able to exploit locality, and hence we can conserve the resources. Similarly, some other examples are there that how loops they can be transformed. So here background port means one used for writing to the background or main memory, and foreground means maybe from the caches or from the registers. So from the left hand side we see example that there are, you can say, two background ports are required for writing and reading of data, whereas in right hand side we require only one background port. That is, we'll say that number of write operations or read operations, they are reduced. If they are reduced, we are able to conserve the resources, or energy will be saved. Then another example is there. So two examples are given that when we are temporarily writing the data, so how read and write operations, they will be affecting the requirement of buffers. So left hand side it requires total storage requirement of n is there, that is size n. N is much larger as compared to 1, and on the right hand side we have storage requirement of 1. So just we are reducing the storage requirement. So how we can optimize storage, how we can optimize say read and write operations, and similarly it will be giving impact on, you can say, saving of energy. So that way we can save energy for doing same computation just by optimizing the code. So that is the purpose, that how code optimization can be done. And we think of applications, for example, applications are being developed by the I can say programmers, or maybe those who are involved in developers who are involved in developing the applications. Now if they are efficient in writing the codes, so many resources will be saved. And if someone is writing apps for our mobile phones and writing efficient code, we can think that how much resources will be saved. So therefore we have to learn these techniques, that how maybe at hardware level, at programming level, at operating system level, at compiler level, we have to be conscious about the use of available knowledge base, so that we can write efficient codes, we can make better choice for writing the course, best choice for the use of tools and techniques. So that way if we take conscious decision, our requirement or energy consumption requirement for the devices will reduce, and therefore given the battery you can say energy, which is having a hardware constraint, that okay, we cannot have those you can say substantial progress in terms of battery technology. Some software techniques, they can be utilized in order to prolong that available battery for longer period. So if we take care, maybe our mobile phone life will increase or it will double. And similarly, if we go on, you can say taking care other devices, whether we talk of sensor technologies, even we talk of, you can say maybe data centers where larger devices are being used, say servers, storage, etc. Again, these issues, they also impact the power consumption there. And the power consumption is also related to heat generated. Higher the frequency at which a device operates, it generates more heat. So servers, etc., they operate at higher frequency and more heat is generated. In order to cool these devices, again we have to maybe use some cooling technologies including ACs, etc. So again power consumption is there, and as per some estimate, maybe 7-8 years of expenditure for power consumption of particular data center is larger than the original hardware cost. For example, if we run a server maybe for 5-6 years, then electricity bills, they are much higher as compared to, you can say, initial cost of the hardware. So therefore we have to be careful in those platforms also, and hence it makes the difference that how technologies or how you can say different techniques they are being used for purpose of conserving the power. Okay, so this is example about parallelism, that okay, multi-cores etc. they can be used. So rather than you can say f, we are reducing say frequency by 2. Suppose we want to use 2 CPUs rather than 1. So 2 CPUs each operating at f by 2, that can be used. Then B dash, which is the voltage requirement, because f is reducing, so f dash will also be reducing. So P1 is there, which is at higher value of V and F, and P2 is there, which is at lower value of F and B dash. So it will be much lower as compared to P1. So therefore, even by using parallel technologies or vector processors, we can go for lower power consumption. So even these technologies at higher level or maybe at architecture level in terms of multi-cores, it can be exploited for you can say conserving the available battery resource. So example of multiplier, that okay, how say 8-bit and 32-bit will be consuming for the purpose of multiplication. Some example is given. So of course 32-bit will be consuming, but if simple 32-bit is there and we are making use of, you can say, 8-bit multiplier, so 8-bit multiplier will be consuming larger as compared to some 32-bit machine. Okay, but sometimes for particular application, for example, if we talk of multimedia or image processing kind of application, and if our requirement is that of 8 bits, so maybe we have to go for, you can say, specialized GPUs, or we have to go for, you can say, reconfigurable you can say technologies based upon FPGA etc. So those kind of technologies, they can be exploited in order to conserve the energy. So we can summarize that there are, you can say, different mechanisms to save the energy, and these mechanisms, they can be exploited. Only requirement is that we have to be careful, and we have to be conscious that energy is a resource which has to be conserved, whether we talk of, you can say, electronic devices, or we talk of, you can say, other devices, or even in terms of vehicles etc., transportation. So just we read the news that maybe electric operated cars, they will be the technology of the future rather than, you can say, based upon petrol and diesel. So therefore even we have to think of, you can say, exploiting solar power for purpose of household, for the purpose of even electronic devices, for the purpose of operating some electrical devices. And when we specifically talk of, you can say, computing and communication, so we have discussed lot many you can say links or lot many pointers that how these techniques can be used in order to conserve say battery, or in order to conserve the available energy, or how to reduce the you can say expense of the energy. So therefore we have to be careful. As a programmer, we have to think of, you can say, writing efficient code. As a you can say user of different applications, we can have awareness that this particular application is more energy efficient. As a user of a device, even we can have a comparison that okay, this particular mobile phone is more energy efficient as compared to say similar other kind of products. So those conscious decisions, they are to be taken, and that way we can contribute for conserving and contribute for what we call as, you can say, green technology. Okay, so some comparison just here. Suppose you want to do some computation by using computer and by using, say, brain. So in terms of whatever you can say calculations, similar calculations to be done. So in terms of neurons, it can perform 2 × 10⁻16 calculations per second, and if they are to be done by using processor, maybe we require memory of 1000 terabyte. Okay, and in terms of energy, so just we can compare that a brain needs only 20 watt, here processors they need order of megawatt. Okay, so just brain is super, and human they can design the technology for you can say better service of the society, for better service, you can say for better future of the generations, and accordingly we can contribute for saving of energy, which is a crucial resource and demanding you can say concept at present. So therefore everyone has to be conscious and careful in use of available resources. So with this I would like to conclude, and hope everyone of careful and conscious, and we contribute for what we call as green computing.